with a linear shimmering effect on the side of the camera lens. It looks really nice and has like a dark red hue over that overall black. So as we all know, glass has been an industry favorite when it comes to smartphone material build selection. So you always have this dilemma of whether to put on a case, because on the one hand you want to show off its beauty, but on the other, if you don't put on a case, it becomes a fingerprint magnet and you have that risk of dropping it. So I don't know. Now without the slider, the phone feels a lot lighter than before. At 185 grams, it feels comfortable like the OnePlus 6T or the Xiaomi Mi 9 or the Oppo Reno. Dual SIM tray sits at the bottom left corner and supports up to 512 gigabytes of expandable storage with a micro SD. Now due to the massive popularity and demand, the Z6 Pro actually brought back the 3.5mm jack, which is really nice because, as we all know, 3.5mm jacks are still the most widely accepted jack size compared to the USB Type-C. It sports a 6.39-inch OLED display. Now they brought back the water drop notch design this time because they got rid of that slider, which I thought is a really nice touch to it because the previous slider mechanism just didn't feel right. The notch looks exactly like the Redmi Note 7 notches. You can barely tell the difference between the two when you put them side by side. Now even though they claimed that the in-display fingerprint sensor has been improved, it's actually still a bit slow by my standards. Disregarding the marketing jargon from Lenovo, the in-display fingerprint sensor is still a little buggy from time to time. It's nothing like the OnePlus, Oppo, or even Xiaomi unlocks where the experience is pretty much instant the moment you place your finger on the display. For example, check this out. Hopefully they can improve upon this by a software update to ZUI 11. And speaking about updates, I haven't actually received an update yet throughout the 2 weeks I've toyed with this thing. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for an update soon because there's been some concerns about Lenovo updates, but hopefully they'll be bringing one really soon. And on the cameras, this is definitely the most powerful setup Lenovo has ever dished out. Now they claimed at the launch event that with all 4 cameras added up, the pixel count should stack up to 100 million pixels. I mean, I'm not sure why they'd even say that because we all know pixels aren't everything. 48 megapixel primary sensor, 16 megapixel wide angle, 8 megapixel telephoto lens, and a 2 megapixel night lens, which also doubles as a sports camera. I've already shown you guys the powerful macro mode, but here are the results of how they fare in regular daily use. The Z6 Pro has a warmer color temperature and looks more true to life compared to the Mi 9. The details also appear a little clearer in shadows. Here are some more examples of regular photos. In general, both phones perform exceptionally well, but it seems like the Mi 9 pictures are slightly clearer. Now in portrait mode, the Z6 Pro does a better job at dealing with light exposure and shadow treatment, but the edges of objects still don't look as natural as the Mi 9. The Z6 Pro's macro is pretty impressive, you guys know already. But compared to the Mi 9, which doesn't have a macro mode, the Z6 Pro does a better job at producing a more natural image that's not over sharpened. Now over here too, you can see that the Z6 Pro also performed a lot better. Now we come to the wide angle. The two are doing equally well here, and it seems like the Z6 Pro just falls slightly behind the Mi 9 in terms of overall performance, even though it does a rather great job in snapping pictures normally. But in wide angle, it seems like the Mi 9 is just a tad bit more natural. And here's what's up at 8x zoom. When there's enough light, both perform fantastically. The Z6 Pro does a better job at exposure control, but doesn't appear as natural. The zoom gets a bit slow here under low light settings, and you immediately notice that strong blur treatment applied to the algorithm. I'm not sure what they'll be doing to address this in the future. In low light environments, both pictures seem equally competent at first, but then you can immediately notice that the Z6 Pro does a better job at treating details in shadows. And lastly, here are the selfies. So even after turning off the beautifying effects, the Mi 9 still has that slight bit of beautifying by default, and perhaps does a little better job at exposure control. So that's about it for the cameras. Hopefully by this, you'd get a better understanding of the camera sets on the Z6 Pro. Even though the spec sheet for the camera is very impressive on paper, the software optimization is still not up to my taste yet. Photos taken do look pretty good, but the UI of the camera is just terrible. I mean, I don't want to say that, but that's just how it is. Once you go into the camera, right over here, Exhibit A, why is the word camera separated into two words? Cam era, really? And then we come to the zoom. This is what irks me the most. You have to drag this thing along to zoom in. You can't just tap on each zoom. You gotta drag on it. And when you drag on it, you get this incredible graphics lag. I don't understand. Look at this. You see that? Oh, right there. Right there, look at that. Look at that. Look at that lag. I mean, this is a software issue that they definitely have to address, or else the experience is just not very good. Then we go over here to Pro mode. Why are all these lines all up in my display? When I'm trying to tweak with any one of these settings, which I don't really know what this is anyway, that's the ISO. But when I tweak with any of them, my finger is all up in my view. How does that, why is all these lines just, just blocking me from looking at what I want to see, right? This is just a very strange design, right? And then we jump to video. Here's the thing about video. Once you click right here, you see all the different modes, but you don't see slow-mo. After playing around with this, I finally found out that this icon right here is slow-mo. And when we go into here, you can finally go into slow-mo, which really doesn't get translated to slow speed. That's just not how you call it. Why is it called slow speed? And also, when you go into the settings for the video, you don't get to see your FPS. I mean, you see the resolution, but you don't see the FPS. What's going on? It should be pretty straightforward to just show me what I'm shooting in. It's just, I don't know, this whole UI design is just not very user-friendly. And the image stabilization doesn't seem as optimized as they advertise it. I mean, unless you have like super stable hands, you're bound to get some shaking here and there. But I mean, they can likely improve upon this from software updates. So I'm hoping that they bring one with a new update. Now on the other specs, you have a Snapdragon 855, 12 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage, 4000 mAh battery and a 27-watt charger, but with a catch. Here's the thing. Even though they advertised the charger to be able to produce a 27-watt output, the phone itself actually only supports up to 18 watts. So yeah, that's a little disappointing from Lenovo. So just so you guys know, that's the case with these two. Base model begins at about, let's say, $430. It's slightly cheaper than the Xiaomi Mi 9, so whichever one you pick up, that's for you guys to decide. Now, as for some of the questions you guys have been asking, there's still no word from Lenovo about a global release for the Z6 Pro yet. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you guys. And it's not a dual speaker system, it's a single stereo speaker at the bottom over here. And it's not exactly waterproof, so you might not want to go diving with this, okay? So that's about it for our review of the Z6 Pro. If you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you guys didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. But you guys know me. Please subscribe to our channel for more videos to come later. See you guys later.